Diese Sendung wird Ihnen präsentiert von Rotary International. Service above self.
Hallo und herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Sendung von Aaron TV. Ja, heute bin ich mal ein bisschen locker drauf. Wir sind hier in Pemberton, einem wunderschönen Ort nach Whistler. Und hier in der Pemberton Valley Lodge haben wir übernachtet. Und ich muss wirklich sagen, ein echter Tipp für alle, die nach Whistler kommen wollen. Pemberton ist locker erreichbar mit dem Fahrzeug. Nach Pemberton wird es ein bisschen schwierig, im Winter zumindest. Da ist die Straße oft gesperrt wegen zu viel Schneefall. Und es geht dann weiter. Nach Pemberton kommt dann Lillooet und so weiter. Und dann macht man diesen Rundkurs um den Garibaldi Park, wo es auch Grizzlybären gibt, rundherum, runter nach Hope und dann über Chilliwack zurück nach Vancouver. Also es ist im Grunde genommen so ein runder Kurs. Und man kommt übrigens auch an einem sehr interessanten Ort vorbei, der heißt Spencer's Bridge. Und in Spencer's Bridge, da ist ein großer Pub, so wie man sich das wie im Film vorstellen müsste, wo man da so reinkommt und es ist recht dunkel und mit einem Elchkopf an der Wand. Und dort werden sogar Wheelies mit dem Motorrad von der Bar aus nach draußen gemacht. Also man kann so richtig so die Spuren vom Hinterrad sehen vor der Bar. Es muss da ziemlich wild zugehen im Sommer. Ich war selber nur einmal da, aber da waren keine Motorradfahrer dort. Also das nur als Tipp für Motorradfahrer, die diesen Rundkurs mal machen wollen. So, jetzt gehe ich noch mal eine Runde schwimmen, aber ich komme dann gleich wieder und dann kommen wir zur ersten Story. Oh, sind wir schon wieder auf Sendung? Ja, also da wir nun schon mal auf dem Grünen stehen, Sustainability, grüne Technologien, Epic Teil 2. Da sind wir hingegangen. Wir haben dann erstmal Green Tree Canada, jemanden aus der Schweiz interviewt. Ganz interessant. Danach sind wir zu Zipcar gegangen. Auch ein sehr interessantes Konzept. Und wir haben Esteem besucht. Esteem macht nämlich alle Cotton Bags für zum Beispiel Lidl oder Aldi oder auch Walmart. Und auch ein sehr interessantes Konzept. Und diese ganzen Tüten, die man dort dann kauft für 30 Cent aus Baumwolle, werden in Indien hergestellt. Christian, Green Streets Canada, also ihr konzentriert euch auf Straßen oder wie ist das zu verstehen?
Ja, Green Streets ist eigentlich, wir haben Sponsors und so in der Situation ist es eine Bank und die heißt TD Bank.
Ja.
Und wir haben ungefähr 20 solche Projekte sind durch ganz Kanada.
Ja, aber ihr wollt speziell grüne Straßen in den Städten haben oder was?
Es heißt Green Street, aber es kann eigentlich alles sein.
Alles sein.
Es kann, wie sagt man, in einem Park,
Ja.
Pflanzen zu setzen und die zahlen dafür. Was wir wollen, ist mit Kindern und so, das alles grün zu machen,
Ja.
wie man sagt, und das ist, was wir wollen.
Was meinst du mit Kindern? Also was können Kinder jetzt machen?
So, zum Beispiel so wie ein BC Hydro, also
Ja.
ein Sponsor oder TD Bank,
Ja.
die kommen zu uns und sagen, wir haben so viel Geld.
Ja.
Und die wollen Projekte haben,
Ja.
irgendwo, ob es in einer kleinen Stadt oder großen Stadt oder einem Dorf, es ist egal.
Ja.
Und so das Dorf oder die Schule
Ja.
kommt zu uns
Ja.
und dann sagen wir, okay, wir möchten Bäume pflanzen an der Schoolground,
Ja.
wie sagt man das nicht?
Ja, also anpflanzen die Bäume. Ne?
Ja, genau. Und dann was wir sagen, gut, dann helfen wir dir, das zu planen. Und dann wir kaufen die Pflanzen Und dann, aber die Kinder müssen das wieder sieht, müssen das
Genau, müssen reinpflanzen. Du bist seit wie vielen Jahren jetzt hier?
Schon 45 Jahre.
45 Jahre, dafür redest du aber sehr gut. Und Schweizer Herkunft?
Ja, von der Schweiz. Ja.
Welchen Teil Zürich?
Nein, eigentlich von der St. Moritz Davos Area. Ja.
Also die exklusive Gegend.
Ja,
Wo man heutzutage gar nicht mehr hingehen kann nach St. Moritz.
Genau.
Aber Christian, das finde ich ja super. Wo seid ihr angesiedelt?
In Richmond.
Ah, gut, dann seid ihr hier gleich hinter der, in der Nachbarschaft.
Ja, genau.
Das ist ja klasse.
Ja.
Dann wünsche ich euch viel Erfolg. Und jetzt müssen wir noch weitergehen. Wir müssen noch so ein paar andere Buden angucken. Aber vielen Dank für deine Zeit.
Ja, danke vielmals. Auf Wiedersehen.
Natalie, wie geht es dir?
Sehr gut, danke. Und du?
Oh, so you understand a little bit German.
A little bit.
So that was a catch to interview you guys here from Zipcar. Tell me a little bit, what is Zipcar exactly doing?
Zipcar is a car sharing program. So essentially in city centers we have lots of different vehicles and people can take them by the hour or by the day depending on how long they need them for. So it's like being able to use a car but not necessarily having to own a car. So it's a nice way to save the environment and look good in lots of different cars all at the same time.
Totally. Is it some kind of specific cars, specific type of cars, or do you have a deal with a certain car company, or is it just wide variety of cars?
No, yeah, we have lots of different kinds of cars from minis, SUVs and trucks. So it depends what your needs are really. You can take any kind of car. We have bigger cars to take to Whistler for the weekend or whatever you like. And if you're in different cities, you can use Zipcar wherever. We have Zipcar globally as well. So that's really nice.
So the system is, it's like rental, but on an hourly basis, if I understand correctly?
It's similar to rental, yeah, but because it's car sharing, lots of different people use the same vehicles. So there's a fleet of cars, and then you go online and book it for an hour or two, or for the day, whichever you need it for.
Where would you pick up the car?
It depends where you're located. Like in downtown Vancouver, we're spread out all over the place. So like on street parking and in parkades. So you can just go online and decide which one's the closest to you and then walk to your car and get in it.
So how would you see the difference between Car4To-Go and Zipcar, for example? Because Car4To-Go is now starting soon up and...
Yeah. Well, Car2Go is a slightly different service. It's all smart cars. So there's only 2 people in a vehicle, and if you need a different kind of vehicle or you want to fit more people in, it's kind of difficult too. That's basically the main difference. We have variety and they don't, and they're a little bit more expensive by the hour. By the minute, they're great. But by the hour, they do get a little bit more costly than us.
Where does the idea come from, Zipcar, actually? I mean, is it a Vancouver idea, as many ideas, or is it coming from Europe?
It comes from the US, actually. It was a lady at MIT.
So not Germany?
Not Germany, no. Sorry. No, a lady from MIT came up with the idea, and she just had it locally, and then it just blew up and expanded, and our main office is in Boston in the US, and we're just spreading out worldwide right now.
So why did you put all over this car, for example, George Strombopoulos cards on it?
Well, he's actually here right now, and Gemma, my colleague, and I, we're a big fan of George, so we thought we might get his attention if we put his pictures on our car. And he's all about the green initiative as well, so we like him.
I'm sure that definitely your car gets attention when his photo is on there.
That's true, yeah. And lots of people can write their own stuff on the car too, so that's kind of cool.
So this is really great, and I thank you very much for this inside view. And so you're everywhere located. We can look up on your website and book it in there if we need a Zipcar.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're traveling in any of the cities with Zipcar, zipcar.com, gas insurance is included. Just book the car and drive.
That's very cool. Yeah. Let's see how long the gas will be included until the gas price gets that high that you guys going to change
your... No, we will always include it.
Oh, that's... Okay, we take her by the word. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, thanks.
So Rajula, what's so German about you?
Well, what's German about us is that if you go to a German supermarket, most likely you will buy a shopping bag which is made by us.
No kidding. Yeah, but we are located here in Vancouver.
That's right. Well, I belong to Esteem Apparel, which is headquartered in India, but we supply to every major brand in Europe. We make about 10 million fair trade cotton shopping bags, and we supply to major brands in Germany like Lidl and like Hofer. So here's the Lidl bag.
There we go, Lidl.
That's right.
That's very interesting.
And we make 3 million bags for Lidl, and we supply to all the Lidl stores all over Europe.
Yeah.
So we actually make this bag in 16 languages for them.
This is cool. So did you learn a little bit German then?
No, not me. I don't speak German, but my friend who's the president of the company, he speaks German.
How's the market actually here in North America for this kind of product?
Well, you know, North America is usually a few years behind Europe. So cotton bags are just starting to pick up in North America. And that's why we are here. And we hope in the next few years that most companies here will also start to choose cotton bags instead of what they're using right now. Well, you know, it's like any transition. As you know, Europe is, you know, more conscious about the environment, and, you know, countries like Germany and France especially are at the forefront of, you know, being environmentally conscious and practicing what's good for the environment. So North America is just starting to go there. And so we are very hopeful that a lot of big brands in North America will now start to buy cotton bags, because as you may know that this is the true environment bag. Because it comes from Mother Earth and it goes back to Mother Earth because it's 100% biodegradable.
So that's very good. It's a very good cause, and wish you also lots of success. And hopefully we see each other then on another event again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Britisch-Kolumbien ist ja der Vorreiter für grüne Technologien. Und wir von Aaron TV versuchen natürlich da immer am Drücker zu sein. Jetzt waren wir neulich auf einer Fuel Cell Conference, sehr interessant, einer Hydrogen and Fuel Cell Conference. Und da haben wir mal den COO von Ballard interviewt und noch einen Investor.
What I want to do today is to talk about fuel cells and the commercialization pathway. So that'll be the primary focus of my talk. I'm going to concentrate on just two of our markets, which are material handling, which is the forklift business, and a new market that we've been focusing on the last 2 years called distributed generation. And these are these large megawatt scale systems that power communities and large regions. So
Mr. Goldstein, Ballard, how are you involved with AFCC regarding the fuel cell production plant in Burnaby?
So, as you know, Ballard's technology is what went into AFCC, and AFCC is the partnership where this technology is being developed and deployed for automotive applications for fuel cells. So Daimler, being of course an important partner in our relationship in automotive, Daimler has recently decided to move to develop its fuel cell production here in Vancouver, and so we're involved because of course that's our location and our facility, and we're helping to make that happen.
Yeah, why do you think they actually came to Canada and specifically to Vancouver and Burnaby?
Well, it's a great question. You know, I think that it's a testament to the fact that Vancouver is the world hub of fuel cell technology, and you know, Ballard, of course, being the largest in the world, one of the oldest, with the largest intellectual property portfolio. I think it's interesting that Daimler has chosen to move their production here. It's a strong statement that this is a location that has the elements of what they're probably looking for. You know, for example, the employment base, the skilled employees, the local technology infrastructure, the supply chain, the political environment that's friendly to fuel cells and is going to help support it. So with the addition, with Daimler moving here, of course, now with AFCC and Ballard, there's nowhere in the world that will have this kind of technical manufacturing infrastructure. It'll be Daimler's facility. They'll be located in the same area as Ballard and AFCC. So we see them every day. Daimler is a very important customer of Ballard. We currently manufacture the fuel cells used in their automotive applications and their mass transit, their bus applications. So what they're going to then do is put their own facility together here where they'll be producing their own fuel cells. So there's a tight relationship, but it's separate.
Yeah. On the last, now just since we're talking about automobiles, on the last auto show here in Vancouver, there were no cars exhibited who are fuel cell driven. Were you kind of wondering about it? Because there were cars about electro driven. Do you see any movement in that area? Because besides Daimler now, also with the Japanese producers?
No, I don't think that's an issue. I mean, this is a commercial automotive show that you're referring to. I think if you happen to have been at the California show, you might have seen a fuel cell. Why? Because there's just there's a recent announcement. That's really all. Automotive fuel cell cars are planned to come into the market in a big way in 2015. So I think we're just a little bit before the market. It's the only reason you're not seeing them in the auto show.
We just have to wait for it, and then maybe we see actually hybrid cars between batteries and fuel cells. Could be also possible, no? For short distances, long distances.
Could be, but in general, you're going to have a fuel cell car with a battery anyway, so that's not uncommon.
Good. Thank you very much, Mr. Goldstein, and lots of fun here for the rest of the convention.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Thank you. Mr. Piccioni, fuel cells, is that the future?
Well, it's a future for certain applications, certainly. A lot of times when you talk about a technology, there's a tendency to get carried away and to think it's a solution to all sorts of the world's problems and all the rest of it. The analogy that I like to use, if you think of a little battery, you compare that, the value of the energy that you get out of that battery, it's 1,000 times the cost of what you get out of a wall plug. So what you have to do is you have to find the applications where the benefits of fuel cells, the fact that they emit water vapor, that they're highly efficient, and that sort of thing, offset whatever costs there might be. They are a little bit more expensive, and depending on the type of fuel that you're using, the fuel can be quite costly. So you have to line those things up. There are applications like, for example, we heard about materials handling. The batteries, lead-acid batteries that you find in forklifts are enormous things. They don't have much capacity. If you replace that with a fuel cell, it's much more expensive than a battery. However, the forklift can last for 8 hours, a full working shift, before it has to be tanked up, and it only takes a few minutes to replace the hydrogen. So, that's a perfect example where the inherent benefits offset the more expensive fuel cell application. If you have a small distribution center, the infrastructure associated with having hydrogen around, and that may be too costly, so you can stick with the batteries. Of course, I figured that if you would, the cost effectiveness as the cost of these systems go down, and eventually companies will be delivering tanks of hydrogen to the facilities rather than requiring you to have liquid hydrogen storage on site or something like that. Eventually, over time, you'll find that more and more forklifts, for example, are using fuel cells. There are also other things to consider which are not that obvious, and that is, of course, a forklift has been designed to have a 1-ton battery in it. That means that a lot of the energy is associated with moving the battery around. Over time, perhaps we can see a future where the forklifts are, let's say, more energy efficient because they're not designed to move a 1-ton battery around. Because the fuel cell systems, they have a great block of iron at the bottom to give the weight. Hydrogen is a difficult gas. Why it's difficult is it can be distributed as high pressure or as a liquid. Now, of course, if it's a liquid, it's very, very, very cold. So there has to be a lot of insulation. So when you move hydrogen on a truck or something, it's not very efficient. It's not a very dense material. You tend to think of a liquid like water. It's pretty heavy per cubic centimeter or something. Hydrogen has the density, roughly speaking, liquid hydrogen of styrofoam. So, if you're talking about a few kilograms of liquid hydrogen, it's a large volume. So it's a difficult gas to move around. And oftentimes, of course, it's moved around in steel cylinders, which is not very efficient. And perhaps some of your viewers might have seen a tank truck, which looks like a bunch of, let's say, torpedoes on a flatbed, and that may carry only a few tens of kilograms of hydrogen for that big truck. So, and it's also not an easy gas to move around with pipelines. It can be done. So. There are some people who think you might be able to produce it locally or whatever. What I think is more likely is the large centers will be served by bulk deliveries of hydrogen. So liquid, a truck full of liquid hydrogen will come and it'll deposit it, and the hydrogen will be used up quick enough. And in smaller instances, then people will come by and deliver, just like they might deliver bottled gas, or I do welding, so I just have them deliver a welding tank, and that'll keep you going for a few days, and then they come and they deliver another one.
So for manufacturers, it definitely makes sense to have actually a little hydrogen plant close to the manufacturing location, correct?
Well, not entirely. It depends a lot on what you're manufacturing. So some chemical processes produce hydrogen as a byproduct, and you can't do very much with it, so oftentimes they just use it to heat water or something like that. But if you can apply a fuel cell, then that hydrogen, rather than just being burnt and wasted, can produce electricity, which perhaps you can use in your production facility. The local production of hydrogen, that can be done through something called a reformer, and we're getting into a territory that's very hard to articulate. Things like reformers tend to be less efficient when they're small than when they're large. So, for example, it might make sense, let's say if you had a mobile base station and you wanted to operate it off of a fuel cell, if you had a local natural gas supply, or if it was easy to deliver liquid propane or methanol, you might wish to produce your hydrogen by reforming it, as they say, on site, but it's going to be less efficient. But then again, like I was saying, for a battery for your radio, if the benefits of what you're doing offset the costs, then you don't really care.
So last but not least, your company, BMO, is it specialized on new technologies?
Well, no, I specialize on new technologies. So I'm an analyst. BMO Capital Markets is a diversified financial services firm. I'm a securities analyst, so my job is to figure out which stocks are going to go up, down, or sideways, and I focus in particular on technology stocks.
Then hopefully you focus on the right technology for the future. And you have a well prediction for the future.
Well, that's always my hope. Are you asking for a prediction?
Well, if you want to reveal it now.
Well, no, I don't tell you what stocks to buy and everything.
But technology.
But technology, no, I think that there is a future for fuel cells. I am more skeptical of certain applications than I am of other applications. I think that for backup power and supplemental power, for example, and materials handling and related type applications, like I said, the challenge is to line up applications where the benefits offset the negatives. But we've gone a long way in the past 10 years. Fuel cells are much more affordable. The knowledge on how to apply them is much more broadly based, and it is going to the point where they are becoming even more affordable. And I think you'll find many emerging applications.
Thank you very much, Mr. Piccioni.
My pleasure.
Das war's dann auch schon wieder für dieses Mal. Wir sehen uns nächste Woche wieder. Eine halbe Stunde ist zwar viel zu kurz, aber ihr könnt auch alle Sendungen übrigens auf www.ahontv.com anschauen. Und außerdem sind wir auf Twitter vertreten und Facebook. Auf Twitter sind wir bei Ahon TV Show zu sehen und auf Facebook, da müsst ihr halt ein Fan von uns werden. Und dann könnt ihr immer nachschauen, was wir da reinschreiben. Also dann, tschüss und bis zum nächsten Mal.